Good evening. Welcome to episode 12 of 3 Men on the Record. And how we all doing tonight? We have we always have a guest host. Our guest host this week is Adam. You also know him as the Grateful Dentist. So we're going to let him say hello, whatever he wants to say. And
hello, everybody.
Invite him
for
in.
having me. I want to say to the three of you guys, I enjoy your shows very much. I have definitely learned a lot about music from you guys. It's amazing. Until I thought I knew a lot about music until I joined Whatnot and listened to other people talk about music. And I realized how little about music I actually know. But yes, I really am a dentist. I've been a dentist for 20 years, just about. I taught high school before that. You might guess I'm a huge Dead fan. The name of my practice really is Grateful Dentists. www.gratefulDentist.com. My logo is, instead of a steely with the skull, it has a tooth inside instead. I have life-size dancing bears painted on the wall going down the hallway. And we do play Dead upon request if the patients request it. Excited to talk about the Grateful Dead and other music tonight.
I'm going to say right now, Adam, I have been pumped for this night tonight. Pumped that you're on. I don't care about Sean or Scott. I care that you're here, sir.
You and I have very similar musical tastes for sure.
Oh, your musical taste isn't as bad as Jake's.
Dude, you and I became tight because our music are identical.
Yeah, we have a lot in common. So, welcome, Adam, and it's so fun to be able to have other people from the Whatnot community come on, and I think Adam might be the newest Whatnotter that we've had, and he's not that new. He's been around buying records like crazy from us and everybody out there. So it's great to have him on. You see him in a lot of shows. I see he's modding a lot of shows now. So that's what part of this is about, trying to bring the community together. And I know I didn't want to have anything to do with touching the Grateful Dead. I don't like to talk about things I don't know about. So it's just natural to have Adam come on and talk about the Dead and kind of let everybody get to know him a little bit better too. So great. It's great to have you, Adam.
Excited.
Yeah, welcome in.
Pumped.
So this time, this kind of the point where we kind of talk about new news and new releases. We don't have a lot going on this week for new news, although it is David Bowie's 79th birthday. David Bowie. Then we also go over this week. Is there any new releases coming out, Scott, that we need to be aware of with Rhino pressings and what is that other one? Audio. What are they calling it? Audio.
Vinyl file.
Vinyl file. Doesn't roll off the tongue. No.
They needed to workshop that a little more, I think.
I think so too. But it's nice to have more affordable audiophile type pressings coming from them. So again, there is big news that David Lee Roth has decided to tour again this year. I love you, David Lee Roth, but you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Listen, I really pray that this tour, he will do his folk version, the rockabilly version, kind of folky version of Jump. If y'all haven't heard it, please YouTube it.
For real?
Yes. Please do it.
Well, as far as news goes, we hadn't been on since we took the holiday break. I just want to say, those are people who come in my stream. I'm a Rick Springfield fan, and I was saying I saw him on his actually 75th birthday, and I was telling people he sounded good and he moved around like crazy. Well, he was on Rockin' New Year's Eve, and that was the artist a lot of people were talking about. He sang Jesse's Girl. He's 76 years old, and it just killed it. Like when I opened my social media, that's what people were talking about was Rick Springfield. So
dude's still ripped.
He can still sing. He can still sing. He doesn't have 100%, but he's got about 90% of his tone. So
yeah. And there was a video on Instagram. I don't know if your wife shared it, Scott, with there was someone at a school and asking everyone that in the staff, going, "What's Jenny's phone number?"
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if it was your wife that shared it. I remember seeing it at some point.
867-5309.
And
Come on, we know
some people, hey, Janet, wrong account, but there's Janet.
What up, Janet?
So yeah, other than that, there's not a lot of news. No big releases coming this week, anyways, that I know of. If you guys think of any in the chat, please let us know. Then we can maybe talk about them. And this is the point where we talk about new releases and obviously now our recent acquisitions. So we usually. So do you have any, Adam, to show new acquisitions? We can go back to you in a minute, but
come back to me 'cause, yeah. Let's see.
All right,
Adam, grab those 15 records, baby.
So we'll go with Adam. Yeah, Scott first. While he's thinking about what Adam's thinking about bringing out here.
Okay, I'll run through mine first. I did pick up this. This is a European press of "Wish You Were Here" for the anniversary, but for the Japanese market. So it's got the obi, and it's colored vinyl. It's like a yellow flame.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that would be cool. My effort to make sure that I have all the 500 that we list. I did not have Nick Drake. So I told Gonzo, I better not have wasted my money on this album. Then I realized, I used my Sound of Vinyl points. I got it for
That's
free.
What I told you. That's
you will not be disappointed.
Vinyl Canyon, welcome back in.
I got the Rhino High Five, the Devo.
The Tom Brady, yeah.
It's actually Chichi Rodriguez, but
the sword guy, yeah.
And
there you go.
Yet another pressing of this great album. I'm gonna have to do a shootout between the OG. There was a Kevin Gray cut a couple years ago. This is a Kevin Gray cut, so I don't know what the difference in. I have the Japanese press, so I'll try to do that and tell you guys which one sounds best to me. But that's the highlights.
All right, Jake, what do you got?
Why do I have to go right now? Why can't you go, Sean?
I can go right now. I'll go. All right, so let's see.
I'll go.
This is. Anyone know what this is? You might be able to tell by if this was red, you would know exactly what it is. This is Devo. Very rare record. Came out in 2010, and I was talking to Devo, and he didn't even know it existed. Devolutionator. Pretty rare.
Original members.
I don't know that, but yeah, I think so. Then I picked up this grail. William Shatner. Where Will the Animals Sleep? Some great songs like Elephants and Termites, Secret Agent Whale.
Okay, everybody just close the stream now.
Aphids and Ants. Aphids and Ants.
Is it near mint?
It is minty. Where would the animals sleep? So there you go with the nice AI.
A 3 men on the record essential.
No.
I picked myself up a copy of the Miles Davis Quintet. I actually had an OG, but it was pretty beat up. But that's a pretty cool record. I got this from Packers Freak. This is Arrested Development. And I can tie this album to Jimmy Buffett, Nadira Shakur, Coral Reefer. I always have something in my shows that does that. And then I have a shout out to Adam Levine, you lazy. Sign it like a normal person. This is a signed record. And it's very I don't know if you can see the autograph right there.
That looks like Scott's signature.
Yeah, there's very little effort in that, and there's some presses that the whole band signs, but in this press, he's the only one signed it. So shame on you, Adam Levine, for not. I don't know what that is. I could have done that. What else did I get? I got
Adam Levine of Maroon 5. Is that the Maroon 5 guy?
Yeah. Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3.
God, I hope you're selling some of this stuff because
I'm
starting to question your judgment if this is going into the PC.
This one set's for sale, and one set I'm keeping.
You just handcuffed him right there, Scott. You made him nervous.
You made me nervous. And then
a good one.
There you go.
This
blue
is
vinyl, baby.
2009, limited to 4,000 copies. Bernie Grundman press, and I'm wondering if it's the same press as the Palace pressing that came out like a year after this one, a year or two after, because people consider that Palace pressing one of the best, and it is a Bernie Grundman, and this one is also Bernie Grundman, an RTI pressing.
How much did the originals for that go now?
I mean, they're upwards of $1,000 now, right?
The original Neverminds. You
Yeah.
find a last sealed copy I know that sold for $4,200.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So on average, I've seen them sell anywhere. Maybe strong VG record could probably sell between $300 to $600. Strong VG probably might hit close to $1,000, and then I've seen VG Plus anywhere from $1,000 to $2,600.
Yeah, and this one only had 4,000 presses, and 3,000 people want it on Discogs, so that makes it highly sought after. And the only way you can really get OGs for the most part now is if someone's been saving it and then they have to, for financial reasons, sell off their collection. That's when you find the Nirvanas. That's when you start finding them.
I will tell y'all, if anybody's into Nirvana and you really are looking for an affordable, like 91 original, look, at one time I sold it, but I had a 91 club press, and you can find a club press sounds just as good, if not better. Probably, I think now probably between $500 to $800.
Mrs. Bumgarner, how are you doing today?
This is Bum. Let's go.
Hey, Sean, does Mrs. Shark have a Boston accent like you?
Because she's from Delaware, Philly,
Oh, I
Delaware.
thought she was from Dunstable. Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
I'll explain it another day. But yeah, my mother-in-law, I'm still very close with my wife who passed away. That's
Gotcha.
the mother-in-law up there.
Gotcha.
So we're still very close there. So Adam, what did you get for what's your new arrivals? I know you saw.
I mean, the amount of packages I get.
15.
It's insane how I mean, I'm on a daily delivery of whatnot packages, and I had them delivered to my office for a while so I wouldn't get in trouble at home. And then my office started ratting me out. So now I just get them all delivered home. But the two I'm going to show, I completely went out of my comfort zone, which I like to do sometimes. So if I see a record that gets a lot of reviews that for great sounding production and sound quality, I will just sometimes buy it.
That one. Got it.
This one, I knew nothing about Beck except Loser, really, when that song came out. And all the online stuff I was reading about this album just sounded so good.
Mm-hmm.
This thing sounds mind-blowingly amazing. You put this on, and I have a pretty nice system at home. It's a 2.1 system. It sounds like there's 22 speakers in the room when you put this on, coming from all over the room. I mean, the sound, and it's very listenable too. It's like very acousticy, kind of ethereal stuff. So
that record was in a lot of people's top 5 audiophile releases last year. So
yeah, I mean, this is what it was. The DSS, the Definitive Sound Series that Capitol started doing. It was kind of their higher end stuff. And this is another one of those albums that has kind of been in the audiophile world. Eva Cassidy.
Love that album. That is such a great album. Everybody should know. That
sounds like she's in the freaking room with you.
Yeah.
Group hug.
It sounds like you could reach out and touch her, and her voice is just so good, and it's very bluesy. She does a lot of covers on this one.
Yeah.
And it's a double LP, and you can get it, under $100, which is, a lot.
Is it that expensive now? Wow.
It is. It's crazy.
I've had mine for a while, but she does a version of Autumn Leaves that is so beautiful on that.
And I never really knew much about her either until I bought that, and I love it. And I just got that last week, I've listened to it like 4 times already.
All right, you just went up to 2 stars in my rating system, Adam, with that one.
So you're saying he was a 0 and now he's a 2, or is he a 3 and now he's a 5?
I'll keep that to myself. I don't want to get him to get the big head or become.
He has to be nice. I'm a buyer.
Uncomfortable. Yeah, he still buys a little bit.
I see. So welcome, Heidi Bumgarner. If you guys don't know Thomas was he drove around in ovals or circles, whatever the race car people do. His wife was his pit crew. If you didn't know that. Yeah, she's part of his pit crew.
Oh, by the way, Thomas and wife, I have the clocks at my office. I hung them up at the office.
Nice. Yeah, Thomas makes clocks. Check his stuff out on on whatnot. All right, so now we're getting to where we're gonna go to our 500 essential albums. Or-
You're gonna skip me this week, aren't you?
no, but I'm gonna start with Adam because we always start with the host. I mean the guest.
No, new purchases.
The GOAT.
Oh wait, you had new purchases? I thought you showed them.
No, I did not. But you'll probably want to go ahead and move on to the essentials.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, nah.
Is that an unofficial?
Oasis Live Unofficial 2025, which I was there. I was at the Rose Bowl, one of the most amazing concerts I've ever attended, to watch 80,000 plus all sing in unison. It's like being at a soccer match.
Grab your tissues because I know you're gonna start to cry.
Jake, did you go to an Oasis concert?
Hadn't
Yes,
heard.
I did.
We didn't hear about that. Like,
Yeah, that was amazing. Unbelievable. And when they go live again, I'll be there.
somebody's gonna punch somebody in the face, and that'll be over.
50th anniversary. Little
Cool.
wish you were here, Action.
Cool.
Haven't
cool.
opened it yet, but I know it's going to sound amazing. Super pumped. Can't wait to listen to this. Can't wait to listen to it on the new speakers because I'm a speaker freak. I know everything about systems. Scott didn't give me any speakers by any means at all whatsoever. I found these myself. Scott actually gave me a set of vintage speakers because my whole life, my systems have always just been like, meh. And he was kind enough to give them to me. And when I put one album on and listened to the power that came out of it, I didn't want to leave the room all day. And I had to go to work. So thank you for that, Scott. So I know this is going to sound amazing.
I'm sure it will.
It's nice when you hear like instruments that you didn't know were in the song.
Oh, gosh, exactly.
You know,
And then what was the last one I wanted to show?
What is he doing?
he's well prepared.
My
Right now.
my essential top 500 album.
We're gonna play him off.
I wanted to go ahead and just let Adam know that this will be coming in the mail for him. I'm going to quote Adam when preparation of putting his 3 essentials. He went, "Listen, if Fall Out Boy and Gary Wright's Dreamweaver are on the list, I'm sure my 3 will be just fine."
That's
Yeah.
what
That being said,
is exactly my quote.
Gary Wright Dreamweaver will be coming to your office.
Yeah, we're gonna get it to him, and we're gonna get this elitist out of him. This dead elitist stuff. He's gonna appreciate some fine '70s yacht rock.
I do.
I can't find the other one I wanted to show, but let's get on with the essentials. Let's roll with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Dead are my favorite band ever. However, my second favorite band of all time is the Band. I love any group that has multiple lead singers because it really kind of changes the sound of the band. So it's almost like multiple bands in one, and you get different feel for each, different flavors for each song. And this album is one of my favorites of all time. Called the Brown Album, self-titled album, whatever you want to call it. It was their second album. Music from the Big Pink was the first, which is a fantastic album. The first 2 albums have influenced everybody from Eric Clapton, George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. He said a lot of it came from the band sound. And this is just the songwriting on this is amazing. The vocals on this bring out such emotion in me and other people. It's Richard Manuel on piano, Levon Helm drumming and singing. This is one of those albums. This is one of those albums. Sometimes you have those days where you're like, what am I going to listen to today? I have all these records behind me, and I really I'm not in the mood to listen to anything. There's like 3 or 4 records that if I am in that phase, I'll put on, and then I'm always happy I did. Like I could listen to this album every day, and it just kind of gets the juices flowing for the next album. And this is a first press RL. I didn't even know there was an RL until somewhat recently. And I found this near mint copy, and it does sound so good.
A jacket is gorgeous.
The jacket, like it doesn't look like it's a first. It's like almost near mint. The jacket's beautiful.
Wow.
The vinyl's
Clean,
beautiful.
nice.
Adam, it sounds like you and I need to have a conversation. Maybe put some trades in the trades in action here.
Oh,
Maybe some work for that.
Adam, I would
straight up Gary Wright for the band RL. Straight up.
I would advise against any making any financial transactions with Jake. Just don't do it.
What?
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go second. Why not?
All right, why not?
I already know what's going to happen. I know Scott is going to come at me because look, we got to get him in. It's important. These three essentials. Last couple shows, I think, I've pulled some Beatles, I've pulled some Floyd, and I'm kind of sticking to my guns this week because we probably should have already had a conversation about this album. It is not just an essential album. It's a must. Anybody who is, getting in, who's starting to buy records and build your record collection, it's a must-have. And this was the first record I've ever listened to from this particular band, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. And I came in a little backstory. I was 9 years old, and I was going into my brother's room because I just loved kind of hanging out. And I remember he opened the door and he grabbed me and pulled me in and sat me down. And he's like, "You have to listen to this album. And you and I are going to listen to this whole thing together. It's amazing." And that record is Pink Floyd, The Wall. This beauty is a 1979 UK original first press that is in damn near mint condition. It's the cleanest copy I have ever listened to. It's the cleanest copy that I have ever owned besides the sealed US original that I had and eventually sold. But this album came out November 30th, 1979. So just right at the cusp of 1980. And I mean, this was really during the band's just, turbulent phase because there was a lot of infighting. It had all pretty much really started during Animals going into the Wall, a lot of tension within the band. This is Roger Waters' brainchild, and everybody knows this was kind of like their rock opera. And, when you see the movie, they based it off of a character called Pink. And really it's based mainly, if you think about it, it's really based more off Roger Waters' experiences. He was really feeling a separation between he and the crowd. And I think all of y'all know, like, the infamous concert in Canada where he spat on someone that they talk about all the time. And during that, he was just fed up and done, more or less, with crowds. And there are things on YouTube you could find. You could YouTube like Pink Floyd concert firecrackers, and you could listen to an audio of people in the audience letting firecrackers off, and Roger Waters just goes off. And a lot of this was kind of based on that separation, but a lot of it still continues with the typical themes that Roger Waters talked about, y'all. Like, he was very close to Syd Barrett, and Syd Barrett's mental capacity just kind of going haywire, it not just affected him, it affected the whole band, but it affected him greatly to where there's still a lot of focus on mental health. And a lot of his themes, if you think about his albums and you listen to some of the Floyd stuff from Dark Side going on to The Wall, it always deals with a few themes: isolation, abandonment, and mental health. And the abandonment part of it, right, focuses on the fact that he lost his father. He never knew his dad, more or less. His dad went to war. His dad died, I think it was something within 3 weeks or 3 months. Someone, we could fact check that, but it was short. He was deployed, got there, and was killed, and grew up obviously with no father. And that was something that really affected him throughout his whole life. And the final cut, I think, which, a lot of people rag on that album, I think that's why I like the record so much, because I feel that it's really a play in and kind of pays respect, I think, to his dad. It's kind of how I feel. But this album obviously it received, when it came out, it received mixed reviews. This record did sell over 23 million copies in the US, 30 million worldwide. So again, one of the best albums of all time, though when it originally came out, it was kind of different, compared to a lot of the Floyd original, stuff, right? And it's got obviously Another Brick in the Wall, Comfortably Numb, Run Like Hell, Mother, Hey You, one of my favorite songs, even though it's very short, which is Vera, which I love, but it tells a story. It's one of my favorite records of all time. And the first Floyd record I ever listened to, and I'm so thrilled that my brother pulled me in that room that night because he made me a lifelong lover and believer, not just of this album, but of the band. And my brother's not with me anymore, but I want to give him a shout out and tell him I love him and appreciate the fact that he brought me into his world that night and opened me up to such an amazing album and an amazing band. So that is my first album to start off for the night.
Where'd you find that copy?
Johnny and Retta. Channel 910, baby.
So my question too, with pretty much a bunch of records, how many do they sell every year now? Like, Rumors sells like crazy every year. I'm sure this is got to be up there with the same.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really curious. I'm gonna try to see if I can find actual
Think
numbers.
about it. That's a great conversation. Rumors, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Sgt. Pepper, Revolver. Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Scott's favorite, the White Album,
Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver.
Well, that did get a reissue recently.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, come on now. Don't badmouth it. It got reissued. They sold 12 records now. They were moving some units on the Gary Wright.
Listen, I still want to know. I've never checked, but I want to know if we have a Dreamweaver Mobile Fidelity Press.
I'll research that for you, Jake, and find out.
I think he was good enough for KTEL.
He said that so seriously, like there should be a multi-press.
Well, they did do greatest hits of regular artists too.
It's a well-produced album. I mean, I could see being able to do something with it audiophile wise. It would sound good.
Yeah, because originally his plan was to do the whole album with no guitars. That was the original.
Only one song has guitar in it.
Right, but he wanted zero. So just a little got there.
We already did this album before, right? We did this before.
Yeah.
All right, and it needs to be discussed multiple times, Sean.
Well, I'm sure it will come up again at some point. But Scott, let's go over what you have.
Do that?
Okay, so I just want to let Tucker know if you need to go get a drink. Now is the time to do that. Take a restroom break because fair warning, there's some jazz coming your way.
Oh, some jazz.
Yes.
So our non-jazz head, bear with me. I won't talk a long time because I certainly don't fancy myself anything other than a jazz novice who likes a certain era of jazz. I am a huge hard bop fan. So I don't like a lot of jazz, but I do like hard bop. And the album that got me into jazz and hard bop was this album, and it was recommended to me by somebody, and it's Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Moanin'. And what really appealed to me about this is, I guess my favorite instrument is the guitar, and I like acoustic. I pay attention to guitars in songs, but second is drums, and at some point in my listening experience, I focus only on when I'm going through an album. I'll just listen to what the drummer's doing, and I'll just throw out my third instrument. Anything with a mandolin, you got me. I love that instrument. So stay tuned. That's foreshadowing, Adam. So, and you notice I did want to point out. Look at this. Mr. Blakey has the 3 Men on the Record 500 hype sticker attached to it.
I got those stickers today. I got mine.
Yeah, there you go. So.
He's on mute, so I don't know what happened there.
This is going straight to Adam with an essential
yeah.
on the record sticker.
Put the hype sticker on it for him. There you go.
There you go.
So let's talk a little bit about this record, and it's 1959, so even before I was born, 6 years before I was born, this came out, and I think this is his second solo album. But Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers went on. That there was like 60 prominent jazz musicians that came through the Messengers. So he was a real mentor to a lot of people and gave a lot of people their start. But more on this album. It's a lot of people would call it the quintessential hard bop album. I agree with that. It's my favorite jazz record. So, and Moanin' was written by the pianist Bobby Timmons, who came from a background of a little bit of blues. So it's a jazz blues mix on this record. Certainly on Moanin'. And me and my wife always kid with each other that Paul McCartney sometimes like took couple different times took three songs and put them together in one song, like Band on the Run, right? I think that comes from jazz. Jazz people would do that all the time. Moanin' is like that. Like it goes on and it feels like a whole different song. But I love the fact that, it starts out with this very melodic piano. Then it goes into Lee Morgan plays the trumpet on it and is just fantastic sounding. And then Mr. Blakey comes in with some roaring drums. And if you haven't heard Art Blakey play drums, I would say he is the John Bonham of jazz. Like there's nothing subtle about it. He bangs on the drums and he's got impeccable timing. He can switch to weird timing very easily. And he's all self-taught drummer too. So, I'm not going to go on and on, but this is an enjoyable record from start to finish. I love Are You Real? That's the second song. It ends with Come Rain or Shine. I love that song. But the one that really gets me going, remember, I'm a big drum fan, Drum Thunder Suite. And the title fits it so well. So the other thing I wanted to note, everybody on this record was from Pennsylvania. All of them from Philly, except for Art, who is from Pittsburgh. So if you don't like jazz, but you like rock, I think you could find stuff on Moanin'. You could say, okay, I can get into it. So give it a chance. Art Blakey and Jazz Messengers, Moanin', I think our third jazz record in the Essential 500 so far.
I feel like that's one of those records too that's like good for the jazz newbie or the person that's been listening to jazz forever. Like I feel like everybody could like that album.
Exactly. And it's one of those Blue Note records that really sounds good too. A lot of the jazz Blue Note records, even the modern ones they're doing, they're very affordable, like $27, $28, but they're well done. So can't really go wrong with the Blue Note, in my opinion.
Most of those are Kevin Gray too, I think, right?
Yeah, he does a lot of them. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'm up next. And what will we go with first? We're going to go with definitely an underrated artist. You probably first heard this artist on, if you ever seen Dirty Dancing, and the song, I think it's Bruce Chanel sings a song called Hey Baby. Delbert McClinton plays the harmonica on that song. And something you probably didn't know, I didn't know till actually today about that. So my first pick tonight is Delbert McClinton. And probably his biggest song is on this record, Giving It Up for Your Love. Not a huge, I think it sold 500,000 copies worldwide, or in the US, worldwide, who knows. This peaked at number 8 in the top 100. It was 38 for the album, was 200 in the albums. He was in a band called, his background basically came from, listening to Wolfman Jack and all them back in the day. And he was in a band called the Straight Jackets, and they performed in a bar. I think it was called Jack's Place in Texas. And the good thing about this is that back in the day, the blues musicians, what's going on? The blues musicians would tour, and they would play with like B.B. King, Lightning Hopkins, Sonny Boy Williamson, Howlin' Wolf, all these people he got to play with and influence his career. Jimmy Reed. He smoked his first marijuana cigarette with Sonny Boy Williamson in a bathroom at a club called Mother's. And I watched like 10 interviews, and he mentioned it every time that's where his first joint was, at a club called Mother's in Oklahoma with Sonny Boy Williamson. So I figured I'd have to repeat it because he thought it was important. So definitely give it a list. It's one I've always talked about. I know Scott's talked about it in shows, and you almost have to. I basically gave one away to give someone a listen for it, so they would listen to it. But give him a listen. Great artist. He won Grammys later in his career with Bonnie Raitt and a couple others. I think he ended up with 4 Grammys, but not for this one. But
he did a song called Two More Bottles of Wine. Martina McBride covered that in the 90s on one of her albums.
yeah,
Great blues artist. And I have had that record twice, and I'm always like, you can get it for like $5 to $7, and if you see it in a show, it's worth it. It's a good record, good blues record.
and
Is
this
he
one's
still alive?
Yes.
He is still with us.
Yep. He had a little medical scare with a triple bypass, but after that he's been fine. That's when he stopped chewing nicotine gum, actually. The day before his surgery, it was the last time he had nicotine gum, which I thought was another thing I picked up that I thought was funny.
I will never ask Scott for gum again. Never.
All right, so that was my number 1. So we're gonna go to back to Adam for his number 2.
I did not pick any Grateful Dead records to go in the essentials. Why? Because every single Grateful Dead record is essential.
Oh,
I like that.
I think he wants to come
So
back.
I couldn't, to pick one was ridiculous. However, I did
Just
pick
do
a Dead-
every album. Every album is one album. You can do that here, Adam.
There was a Conan O'Brien joke he said once. He was like, they're Dead are releasing a new 50 CD box set, and they're trying to figure out which song it's going to be. But I did pick a Dead adjacent album, and that is Jerry Garcia with David Grisman.
That's how I heard about it today.
It was on the list.
On my email from MoFi, because they have it's available for order on MoFi again.
Oh, cool. A repress?
Of that, yeah, that same one, yeah.
This album is so this was so let me back up. So
Sorry.
Jerry started off as a banjo bluegrass player in the early 60s, and he used to tour like all the Deadheads would follow the Dead around. He used to actually follow Bill Monroe around and go on tour and follow he was like the king of bluegrass, and he would follow Bill Monroe around, and he would be out in the parking lot. And back then, all the guys would be in the parking lot, and they'd all bring their guitars and mandolins and stuff, and all the fans would pick in the parking lot. And that's where he met David Grisman, who's a mandolin player, and they became friends. And they played together on and off over the years. They were in a side project called Olden in the Way, which is, I believe, the #1 selling bluegrass album of all time still, which had Jerry and Grisman on it. But this one was in the later years. This was in 1991, I believe. Some original songs on here. There's some covers. But the sound stage on this, it's pretty much a stand-up bass, acoustic bass, a percussionist, Jerry on acoustic guitar, and Grisman on mandolin. And this is another one. It feels like they're in the room with you. And this is one of those records you can listen to 1,000 times and not get sick of it. Grisman also had the Dave Grisman Quintet, which was very unique style music. It was like jazzy bluegrass. So if you're not like a pure bluegrass is great, but a lot of it does sound kind of similar, and it kind of, you can't listen to it for 2 hours in a row. You can listen to it for 10, 15 minutes.
Mhm.
But Grisman kind of took that and made it more jazzy and more folky. And so you mix that with Jerry's singing and guitar playing. It was just this magical combination those two had together.
Yeah. And I can attest, I was like I'll tell the story a little bit. So when you're a guest on the show, at some point you turn your 3 albums in, and I think Adam was the first person to turn an album I'd never heard of the record. So I reach out to him, not to just veto it out of hand. I was like, tell me a little bit about this record. So he tells me, oh, you got to listen to it. The soundstage is amazing, which I'm glad he told me that, because I didn't bring it up over here. I went over to my main stereo. I got a high resolution file and I listened to it. And Adam was right. This thing, he sold me on two things. The soundstage is huge and the mandolin is playing on it is superb. It's beautiful. So thank you, Adam. That's part of what we do here: expose each other and all the community to records you've never heard that you maybe should hear. So thank you. And now that I know that the MoFi is being released, maybe I got a new MoFi coming in my future.
Yeah, I learned about this record this morning, reading my emails from MoFi, and then I see he mentioned Grisman earlier, and I'm like, I know that name. And there we go. All right.
Grisman too, like his mandolin playing is so distinct, like because it's kind of jazzy mandolin. So he's one of those, like, if you lined up 100 mandolin players, you could easily pick him out from the lot.
There's always something sorrowful or mournful about a mandolin. I don't know what it is. It just really, it always strikes me.
I love listening to Levon Helm play a mandolin. I think he's a great mandolin player as well. He could do it. The band could do everything. So I guess it's on me.
Yeah, somebody needs
your turn.
Somebody needs to ban Hoff.
I love when, like, Richard Manuel would jump on drums. He'd leave piano, jump on drums, and Levon would go to mandolin, and they'd all like swap instruments. It was crazy.
And they would just move around and just play whatever. That's what just made them so unique. I don't know of, honestly, I don't know of any other band that could do that and do it so well the way they did. I think that's what made them so special. I don't know of any other band like that. That's why they're amazing. Well, going on to my second record, like I said, we're kind of keeping it Floyd and Beatle themed, or post Beatles, if you will. And this was Ringo's fifth album, but probably his most critically acclaimed. Although Ringo, self-titled, is really good as well. I chose Ringo Starr's Goodnight Vienna, released November 15th, 1974. Apple Records, producer Richard Perry. Approximately just a hair under, I think 900,000 copies sold in the U.S. Worldwide sales 1 million. I'd like to think that this album sold more than that, because this was a big hit album for him. It's got, obviously, the No song. It has Goodnight Vienna. It has Only You. It charted on the Billboard 200 at number 8. And Only You charted at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, cool thing about Ringo, I think everybody realizes that Ringo really wasn't much of a songwriter, but everybody loved Ringo Starr. And there were so many artists that would always flock to basically go out and give them a song, right? And I think you've seen the videos, right? The interviews when John Lennon, famously said, like, I never really worried about what I was doing or what Paul or George, but the one thing that all three of the guys cared about, they cared about Ringo, and they always wanted to make sure that he was okay, which is just awesome because Ringo's just a lovable guy. And you have song contributions from John Lennon, contributions from Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And you've also got a Harry Nilsson song as well that was written also. So that's kind of what I love about a lot of the Ringo albums, is that you have great artists and writers that contribute a lot to them. And then, they all kind of contribute and play on his records. Let's see. I wanted to read some notes that I kind of took on here. Surprisingly enough, Goodnight Vienna didn't win any major awards. But this album, I think, really kind of put him on top with regards to his solo career. Because in the very beginning, when Ringo went solo, if you see, like, Sentimental Journey, one of my favorite albums, which I don't know if Scott's going to allow me to put it on there, but I think I'm going to have Scott give a listen because I think he should. Bukus of Blues is probably one of my favorite Ringo Starr albums ever because Ringo is a huge country and Western. He loved country Western, and he's got a voice for it. And that's what I love about that record. And it's produced well. It's got some great players on it. So, Scott, I urge you to listen to Bukus of Blues because I think you'll really like it. It's different.
There is no, not even in the upside down world, does Ringo Starr get two albums out of the 500 essential? Impossible.
Ringo's there.
Impossible.
Didn't he have the most successful post-Beatle career?
I believe he did. I think he had
Ringo?
more. I think he had more number one hits.
Yeah.
So you might fact check it, but I think Ringo had more number one hits than any. But you got to remember, the guys helped contribute a lot to that success. Ringo could just pick up the phone and be like, "I need a song," right? And they would help him out. They would come and they would play on it. Like you could hear John Lennon's version of "Goodnight Vienna" because it's John's song.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to Ringo. But I do think there are two that should make the essential. "Goodnight Vienna." This would be one of them. And then I also think that Ringo's self-titled would be there. Bukus of Blues is just like a sentimental thing for me, but I actually think you'll like the record. Well,
Right.
Jeremy, what was the first hit? Because I'll be honest, the greatest post-Beatle album ever is George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. I could do without the third record. I could do without the Jam record, but probably the best post breakup album ever. So that's my number two, Ringo Starr, "Goodnight Vienna." He does. That is true.
All right, Scott, you're up.
Okay. All right. So I was trying to mix it up a little bit this week, and then I'm going back and looking like, oh my God, I don't want to get to 500 essential albums and leave out because Jake picks the Pink Floyd and Beatles every week. Can't leave out these other groups.
Better than Fall Out Boy.
No,
I didn't say it.
no. Jake, you have never listened to that record I recommended. You have never listened to that record.
I will admit, I have never listened to it.
So
Okay, I'll make a deal with you.
You're completely unqualified.
I will listen to it, but you have to listen to Bukus of Blues.
I will. I do. I listen to records you recommend. I recommend all these records to Jake in the stream. In the chat. And I know he's not listening to them.
Let's listen to that. Just yay, eat too, Brute.
All right. So on with my pick. So it's going to be Carole King, Tapestry. This is a nice looking OG here. But Saturday night, oh my gosh, we sold one in the show. That was amazing looking. Looked like it was just printed. So let's talk a little bit about this Carole King. So, kind of started out. I mean, she wanted to be like a solo artist, but what got her in the door was songwriting. She wrote, "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?" When she was 17 years old, she wrote that song. And "Locomotion," "Up on the Roof," "I'm Into Something Good," and of course, "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." Those are all songs that Carole King wrote. And so, I think that gives her, she was a prototypical artist, but when you can pump out hits like that, the record company is going to let you have a go at trying to have a solo career, right? And she was very talented. So Tapestry is her second solo record, but really like third because there was a little band effort in between there. And she had moved out to California, and she fell in with the Laurel Canyon crowd out there, Joni Mitchell and all those folks. She was real tight at the time with James Taylor, and she had divorced her first husband, and so she was kind of single, and her first husband was primarily the lyricist for her, or wrote a lot of the lyrics to her songs. So she kind of had to reinvent herself, but she found inspiration out there in this. So she goes into the studio to record this record, and she is next door to Joni Mitchell, who is recording Blue at the same few weeks.
Wow.
Few blocks down the street, Joni and her are going and are participating on James Taylor's record, recorded at the same time, Mudslide Jim. And on this album is the song You Got a Friend, which was intended to be her release on, probably would have been a single, but James Taylor secretly recorded it and then played it for her, and she approved him actually releasing it first. His album came out first. That song won Song of the Year in 72, I think. In 73, Song of the Year was It's Too Late. So basically, she was the songwriter on back-to-back Song of the Years. The album, Tapestry, won 4 Grammys. To include Album of the Year, Song of the Year. It has sold 25 million copies worldwide, 10 million in the U.S. I think people are both surprised and not surprised. Like, some people might be surprised, like, oh, well, Carole King, that album sold that much. But then if you ever go record shopping, it's pretty clear. There's a lot of these records out there. There's not a lot of them clean, but there's a lot out.
I never knew it sold that much.
It's interesting that more than half were sold outside the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder which country loves her,
I'm guessing it's a lot of European countries, probably UK,
Guam,
Germany, not Guam,
Luxembourg, put that number up.
but she had, it's like, just listen to some of the songs that's on it. It's Too Late, I Feel the Earth Move. That was her 2 number 1 songs she had, top 200 off this. And then You Got a Friend is on here, which would have probably been her 3rd single if James Taylor hadn't already released it the year before.
What version do you like best, Scott?
I like James Taylor's version better. She reworked You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and I would say between her and Aretha, I mean, Aretha's the queen, right? I mean, it's a different sounding song, very different with her doing it. I like both versions of the song.
Yeah.
Those of you who might be a little younger, there was a reworked version of Where You Lead. Where You Lead was really about a woman taking the lead of a man, and which over time Carole King grew to not really like the lyrics to that song. But for Gilmore Girls, they reworked it to be a mother-daughter. So I don't know if there's any Gilmore Girl fans out there. That's Carole King. You've been a reworked version of that. So I listened to this album this week, I want to say 4 times, and it's just darn good. So I think she really paved the way, for like piano singer songwriter, like, because it's not overproduced, but it's well produced. It just it sounds good. It's very pleasant, and you just can't go wrong. I don't know how you, unless you're closed-minded, I don't know how you wouldn't like this album. It's good art.
Good pick, Sean.
Thank you.
I would have thought Good Night Vienna sold more than that album personally.
No. All right. So my next pick, you all know it. There's a song on there that's 8 minutes and 36 seconds long. And I never like to just say what the album is. I always have to like backtrack. But I've watched a couple documentaries. There's one I watched a long time ago that I rewatched this past week. My pick is Don McLean, American Pie.
Such a great record, Sean, and great choice.
Mhm.
It's kind of, it is very good, but he is definitely a very melancholy singer. The very melancholy, the songs. The two big hits on here were Vincent and American Pie. Um, Also, there was the song called "The Grave," which is a protest of Vietnam, um, which later got a live um, George Michael sang it on the Top of the Pops, the TV show in the UK, to kind of protest the Iraqi war. Um, so if you ever Google that version, is really great too. Um, so yeah, American Pie. We all know that the story of that song. Um, who knows what exactly all the players in that song? There's a lot of people mentioned, but not their actual names. Like the jester who borrowed a coat from James Dean. We all believe it's a reference to Bob Dylan. The king is Elvis. The marching band that refused to yield is the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper. There's a lot of references, but he's never really gone into his songs. He basically says that an artist's work should stand by itself and not leave. He's not going to tell you what he wrote. It's up for your own interpretation. He's not going to tell you. Hopefully someday he'll really break it down or something to hear it. And this album, if you watch the documentary, they talked to the producer of the album, Ed Freeman, and Don McLean's always like a different studio, different. So it seems to be that they didn't like each other, and they kind of pushed each other. That's probably what made it a better album, because they both pushed, but I think the egos kind of butted heads a little bit.
I've heard he wasn't easy to get along with.
Yeah, and Ed Freeman, things he tried to do, and they would fight back and forth. And they didn't even talk about the documentary, but you could just tell. And then every once in a while, he'd say, "You know what?" And Don McLean would say, Ed was right on this one." And then there was Ed Freeman going, "You know what? Don McLean was right on that one." And a couple of the instances were, if you listen to Vincent, it's really acoustic guitar for the most part. Then it slowly builds to almost the very end where you can hear an orchestra come in. Ed Freeman wanted that like through the whole song, and Don was like, "No." And in the process of the documentary, Ed's like, "You know what? He was right on that." And then also with American Pie, Don McLean, when he was singing the lyrics, would add like a little more to the end of the word and stuff. And Ed's like, "Every time we do it, I'm going to cut it. Every time I'm going to do it, I'm going to cut it out." And and then he's like, Don McLean said, "Well, you know what? Ed was right, because you didn't. The American Pie was perfect the way it was, with those little influctuations in words. It was not that as good."
Yeah.
Also, when he sang live, when they do retakes, every time he'd do a retake, it would be a little bit different. So it'd take 24, 25 takes to do whatever his vocals. So he's very stubborn, but it worked out. It just that their butting of heads kind of made it what it is. So the big issue is what was the number one single from this album? American Pie. What's a single? What is the average?
Really over 8 minutes long? That one?
8 minutes and 36 seconds. And a problem with being a single, what did the DJs want it? Billy Joel sang it well.
3 minutes.
309.
So
305 or 309.
305, I think. And what a lot of musicians and labels would do, they would put 2 minutes and 57 seconds, even though it was longer on some of these. They were able to get American Pie on a 45.
Wow.
But it never got issued that way, because the jukeboxes are set so it got to a certain point, it automatically picked the needle up. So the record company and them said, "No, you can't do that." But they got it to fit on a 45.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But think of DJs having to flip over a 45, or maybe they had two to play this song, is crazy. But I think Vincent is probably one of the best songs ever written. I mean, you listen to it, it is unbelievable. And then we were watching a video on YouTube where they put pictures of Van Gogh paintings, and with the music, it's amazing. But it's probably one of the most beautiful songs I think I've ever heard. So that's my pick. Give it a try. I think you probably already have. This pressing sucks. This pressing I got this is a more recent reissue, not that great, but I'm still looking for that. And a matter of fact, I don't know where the record is. I didn't like it so much.
frisbee.
Maybe.
Do you
Maybe.
think like the people releasing a crappy pressing like that, they must know it's not good, right?
They have to give. I mean, I'm assuming they have to give the green light to be like, yeah, roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just not that great of a pressing. So I'm still looking for a forever copy of that. All
That's too bad, and that's a hard one. That's a hard to find. Either OG or repress clean.
Clean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that record come up on Whatnot.
Very rare.
Saturday night, Japanese press came out.
Was there one? I missed.
No, last night.
I
saw
I
Japanese
saw it
press
somewhere.
last night.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
last night. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, why didn't you
that's
let me
one.
know?
That's one I want. What? Did I skip you? I didn't skip you. Did I?
No, I was talking to Scott. Why didn't
Oh.
you let me know? It's hard to find. It's hard to find the Japanese press of that. I would probably say a Japanese press. I had one way, probably like a year ago, and I sold it, and I should have kept it. But the Japanese press sounds really good.
Yeah. So I'm in search of a forever copy.
I like how you think 8 minutes and 39 seconds is long.
Well, for a number one, for a single
it?
release, it is.
Just wait for the next few records.
Well, but those weren't single releases, though, were they?
No.
That's the thing. That would be 12-inch record. It'd probably still be hard to fit those on there. All right. So Adam, you are up.
My turn. All right.
Your last pick.
This record actually ties in, has a lot of links to a couple of the records you guys were just talking about. Scott, how many records are on the 500 list up to this point?
We're very, very close to 200.
Close to 200. And spoiler, there's been 0 Neil Young records on the list so far.
Yeah, I think it's because we did a Neil Young top 5, and then we forgot about Neil Young.
You did.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if I saw that episode. I don't know if this record was in the top 5 or not. Probably not, because it's one of the more underrated.
Honorable
albums.
mention, I believe.
I guarantee you, it's on the beach, Razuma. It's coming. It's coming.
This was an album Neil Young did not want to put out. It came out after Harvest, and Neil Young did not want to put it out. And one of his good friends, Rick Danko from the band, said he loved it and encouraged him to put it out. And there is a direct link between this record, Neil Young, Tonight's Tonight. This is a copy I got from Scott. I do have an OG of it, US, but I thought I'd give Scott a little shout out here for this.
Man, that thing's clean. Clean.
This thing is so freaking clean. I mean,
You learned from the best.
the jacket. This is a first press too. This thing is 51 years old, and it's like it looks brand new. It's amazing, and it sounds great.
Thank you. You talking about me?
But Neil Young, Tonight's Tonight, 1975, with Crazy Horse. All my favorite Neil Young records are with Crazy Horse.
Same.
And Jake, who in Crazy Horse played with Ringo and with Bruce Springsteen and had a solo career.
Now's Lofgren.
Yes. Yep.
Look at Scott just coming in, just like, I'm just going to go ahead and bypass Jake right here.
So
Just-
Mr. Lofgren,
just
talk
throw
about
it.
a career, played on this record, on all the Crazy Horse records. He played with Ringo, with Bruce. But this why I picked this records of all the Neil records. It's got this darkness to it. It's got this very refined sound, like grungy, garagey kind of sound to it. There's a lot of space between the songs. It's a very kind of depressing, melancholy record. He was kind of depressed at this point in time.
Was it someone like a dear friend of his that had passed away, I think?
Yeah, he was struggling with drugs at the time, and one of his friends died, and all the success from Harvest, he was having a hard time. But this gets you from the beginning. It's just a very different sounding record than most of his records in a good way, I think.
That's what I love about Neil, though, right? You know, Scott and I, we talked about this during the whole top 5. We talked a lot about this before we presented it, but we all know he's got a bazillion albums, and there are some real bad ones out there. There are some stinkers, 2 of which Scott is sending me because I've requested them. But there are some damn good ones, right? But I give the guy, obviously, all the credit in the world, because I love artists that are always evolving. I love artists that take a chance and they don't give a damn, and they go against the grain, to put something out that might put them out of their comfort zone. He's one of those artists that's just done it time and time and time and time again. That's why I love the guy and think he's wonderful, because he does it and he doesn't care.
And if you notice a common theme between my choices, I love bands where technically his voice is very mediocre at best, but I love bands that maybe technically don't have the best voice, like a Steve Perry or a Freddie Mercury, but the band, like I like singers that have this quality to the voice that just brings out emotion, or sucks you in like that. And he's one of those guys.
I do. I think that's a great choice, because I think it's one of those records. It's a moody record, and you're either going to like the vibe and like the album a lot, or you're probably not going to care for it. I was definitely in the camp of I like it a lot, but I know when it came to the top 5, I was like, well, I don't think I'd put it in the 5 for people to go listen to. But
it didn't really have any hits on it.
It didn't have any hits. I think he got scared because of Heart of Gold. I think scared the crap out of him.
Probably the biggest hit on here was probably.
Yeah, but did he have any huge hits really from On the Beach or Zuma, which were all like great? I mean, he had Cortez the Killer, phenomenal song on Zuma, probably my favorite. Sometimes the best songs aren't necessarily the hits.
I think he intentionally didn't have any hits. I think after Heart of Gold, he was not going to write a song like that again.
Yeah.
So,
it's a reality like we don't have, right? I mean, we've never, been rock stars, right? That sold millions of records. And I've always wondered how that feels. And I've always wondered, I'm sure we've always wondered, why don't you want to go out there and play your hit a bazillion times when that's what the people want. That's what they bought. That's what they saved their money for. But you have these artists that ridge on that and they don't want to do it. I've always had a hard time understanding that reality. But I think when you reach that pinnacle of fame, I guess I get it, because maybe they look at that like all the people want to hear the hits, but there's so much more, to come out of that. But they don't want to move forward. They don't want to progress. They want to stay with what's, maybe that's it. I don't know.
Well, it's that you don't want to be cursed with that one song that you love. You did it. You liked it. Now, like we're gonna say Warren Zevon with Excitable Boy. I mean, not Excitable Boy, Werewolves of London. I mean, I think he enjoyed playing it, but at some point it's gonna get old. Like Jimmy Buffett in Margaritaville. That's not one of my favorite songs, but he had to sing it every show. And
he did not have to sing it every show.
But they kind of do, which kind of
the Dead didn't do that.
Well, they also did a lot of other covers.
But listen, the Dead could go in and be like, okay, we're going to do Fire in the Mountain, but we're going to do this. This is not going to be an 8-minute song.
We're going to add 8 songs in between.
8 minutes. That's what made the Grateful Dead song so damn good. That's why people went to see him live, and that's why people love the damn bootlegs, because every concert was different. Every song was different. They played it, it was. Yeah. That's what people liked about it.
But some artists must hate getting pigeonholed with that one song that everyone wants over and over again. And maybe that's what Neil's like. I don't want that. I don't want to do that every time.
And not only that, but say like an artist like Tay Tay, right? I appreciate Tay Tay. I like her. Like I know how she can do a full tour, and I know she sang like 22 songs a night, and 20. They're all in the same order. And it was the same songs every night. And I think she swapped out 1 or 2 songs. I don't know how, as an artist, you could do that and stay excited about it night after night.
Well, that's because you got the check at the end of the night. You saw that check.
So I can confirm that. That's exactly what Oasis did. Mm-hmm. They had their list. They stuck to their guns. They didn't change it. And Scott nailed it. Like, they didn't get paid. Like, people were taking bets on them breaking up mid-tour, but the contract, the way it was written, was you don't get paid until you finish the show.
Yeah.
and they
Well,
stuck
yeah.
they stuck with the same songs
In
show
the
after
same
show
order?
after show after show.
In the same city. That's the thing. Like,
but I don't want to get a bunch of Taylor Swift hate going here. I anytime you have something as with the production value and the choreography that she had, you almost have to do
Yeah,
the
I can
same
agree to
songs
that.
every night. I mean,
Yeah.
everything had to be
there was some.
planned and
There was songs that she would put in the show that weren't played the night before, and there was a couple spots where she would add a place to add a couple different songs that she didn't do the night before, whatever. But like I saw Elton John, he played Philly twice. Both shows were identical.
Yep.
I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
That I have an issue with. Buffett sang 29 songs pretty much every show, and it started off differently usually, and it ended differently. But he did like 29. But with
I
Elton
think
John
Taylor-
only doing the same show 2 nights in a row, I
Yeah.
didn't like that. I just thought that was.
You know, I like what Jeremy said, right? He's the difference between a show and a concert, and that is true. When you're doing a show, you're putting on a performance. Like when Roger Waters toured the wall has to be played in its entirety in order because everything kind of aligns, right? So it's like a lot of these shows, like these rock operas or choreographed, like they have to go in a particular order in order to work. And I do think if you go off course, the whole thing it doesn't work.
True.
It doesn't work. So going into my third song, or third album, should I say, is George Harrison's comeback album, Cloud 9. 1987, November 2nd. All three albums I picked, all were released in November. Such a great month. Dark Horse label, produced by George Harrison and the one and only Jeff Lynne. Did 2 million in the U.S., sold approximately 5 million worldwide with the hits "Got My Mind Set on You" and "When We Was Fab." Devil's Radio I like as well. That's also a Clapton, little riff that he played with. What's great about this particular record, the album that he did prior to Cloud 9 was Gone Tropo. And that album, Gone Tropo, was like done really fast. And at that time, he was really just not in the music realm. I don't think he was really liking the music of the time. He just wasn't really in tune with it. I think also John Lennon's assassination, I think, had a big impact on a lot of the guys. And, Gone Tropo, I want to say, might have been like the last album he did on his label before Cloud 9. I could be wrong on that, but I do think this was the last album he did and changed labels. And Gone Tropo, it panned, like it failed badly. And he took a 5-year hiatus. And during that time, really a lot of the stuff he was doing, he had a movie production, was producing movies, a lot of the Monty Python stuff. He was also doing stuff on soundtracks as well. And 1987 comes around, teams up with Jeff Lynne, and comes up with Cloud 9, which just has a wonderful production to it. It's the Jeff Lynne sound, right? When you listen to Cloud 9, you listen to Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever, you hear Jeff Lynne all over it. He's just got a very distinct way on how he produces and just the sounds, that come out of it.
I wonder if that was the beginning of like the Wilburys.
It was.
Yeah. Yep. It really was kind of his return to the forefront. He hadn't toured in a long time either. And I think not long, obviously, after this, he toured Japan. I think Clapton may have toured with him during that time frame as well. And there is there is an album they have of that. I think they recently pressed. Or it was a reissue. His reissue of the Japanese tour, the concert he did there. But number 8 on the Billboard Top 200, Got My Mind Set on You, was number 1. He was, just so you know, he was the first Beatle post Beatles to first come up with a number one hit, which was My Sweet Lord. Ringo's It Don't Come That Easy was off of Ringo's self-titled. Ringo wasn't the first, but I do think that was his first number one. But the notes here, obviously, it marks his return to commercial success after a long period of silence, which he took a 5-year break. It earned a Grammy Award for Best Music Video for Got My Mind Set on You, which I'll never forget the damn squirrel.
Sitting in the chair. And
Yeah.
Pipe, dude.
Mhm.
Like, sitting in the chair, getting up, doing the the backflips.
oh,
It
yeah, the
was-
backflips.
Yeah, it was a really funny video. And I was, 9-10 years old when I saw that. It was one of my favorite videos as a kid on MTV, which, rest in peace. I'm so sad that MTV now is pretty much all music videos gone, because I grew up on MTV. I think we all did to an extent.
Scott didn't.
From 81 to basically like 92, I lived on it, man. Loved it. But yeah, if there's anything else I wanted to put on here. But that was pretty much the last. I want to say Cloud 9 was the last effort he put out until Brainwashed. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Studio album.
I'm not sure.
Somebody's at fact check, but I want to say that he did the Wilburys, right? He did 2 records, 2 albums with them, and that was after Cloud 9. But I don't think he did anything else until Brainwashed.
Yeah.
That might have been his
No.
last album.
I give you a hard time for the picks, Jake, but Cloud 9 is a very solid. It's my favorite Harrison record.
Well, I love All Things Must Pass, and
Mhm.
I do love. People probably kill me, but I love Extra Texture. I love that album.
Mhm.
But his first 3 are damn good, Scott.
Yeah, that very unscientific scientific theory you have about the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like I said, for the most part, it works. For the most part, there are exceptions to the rule. We have proven that.
and George always seemed to get burnt out and always had to kind of step away. I mean, even with the Beatles, and he seemed to.
I just think, he was of the mindset where I can tell you this. I could say that George obviously was the most spiritual of the 4. And I think what I love about George, and I didn't appreciate him as much as a kid, because when I was younger, I just felt like I didn't really understand him. But the older I got, I've gained so much respect and affinity for him, because he was, I think, just so far beyond like his existence, just how he lived. And you hear people talk about him with so much, love and appreciation, and how he was as a person and how spiritual he was. I just think he, wasn't, he just looked at that and was like, meh, it's, this is all physical and material, and there's so much more to it than that. He was just a spiritual being, man. He was just a cool guy.
Did he ever do like any extended US tours or anything? Like, I don't remember him like ever really touring or like.
I think I want to say like his last tours were probably in the mid 70s, because he did not Gone Tropo. I don't think he toured it. I don't think he really promoted it. That's why it panned. It didn't do well, because there was really no promotion. He didn't care. I think he did it quickly to get it out, because he was required to put it out. And it was the last album, I believe, on that label. Just like Extra Texture was, I think, for Apple, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but I think so. But I just think he, I mean, if we were all Beatles and we went through that, I mean, again, like they said, they were lucky to where they got to do it and experience it together. Who knows? I probably would have felt the same. And, they toured so much. They worked so much. They barely had time off. Like, had to beat you down. People weren't listening to the music. Like, if you were an artist, you want to go there and be heard and appreciated and be there for the moment and the experience. People would just go there to see them, to look at them. You couldn't hear them sing. You couldn't hear them do anything because they yelled so much.
Here comes Sean.
What I'm going to say though, I mean, I've been watching the anthology again, and they toured so heavy up to
Yeah.
66, and being the Beatles, I mean, when they did these things, they were stuck in their hotel room. Anything they did could become a international incident, which did happen in the Philippines when they didn't go have
Yeah,
dinner
it was their day off.
with Imelda Marcos. That, and then when they came back for their second tour in '66 with the that tour, the whole Jesus is bigger than the Beatles thing blew up. So they were getting death threats. The KKK was standing outside the arenas. They were burning Beatles things.
Well, you think about it. I mean, it was just a few years prior that Kennedy had been killed, right? So, like, I mean, God, I'd have been scared to death as well.
So they all had that, and it was just all stressful at that point. So that's when they gave it up. They just, no, we can't do this anymore.
Well,
Especially with George's temperament, with stuff like that, he was done.
Yeah, but they also felt like they weren't playing at their peak, because they weren't being heard.
Well, like, think about first time in Shea, their speakers on stage with 30 watt.
Yeah,
and they don't even know if it was piped through the PA system.
It did. It went through the PA, so
Which,
it had to.
You've been to a game. How good is that?
Horrible.
And then when they returned to Shea in '66, it was 100 watt speakers. Now, the big game changer for live concerts, we're going to talk to Adam now about that after we do our picks, because we go back to Scott, because we could talk like this for after. Let's save some of this for later.
Squirrel.
Oh, what? I fell asleep there. Were you guys talking? Oh,
let's just get these done, and then we'll do his 5, and then we can.
Okay, I want everybody to refocus here, because I'm going to talk to you about something that I'm sure my good friend Adam is going to poo-poo, but I'm going to make him listen to this record. And I can't hold up a record because it hasn't been pressed on vinyl yet. I'm hopeful for the upcoming Record Store Day, because they have been getting Record Store Day reissues. And what I want to talk to you about is 2005's Better Than Ezra, Before the Robots. So this is their 5th album, and they got caught up in a period, and you guys may not remember this, or you probably do. Napster hit. Like, there was a bunch of bands. This happened to Third Eye Blind, Sister Hazel, a bunch of these post-grunge alternative rock bands. Counting Crows got caught up in this too, even though they sold 16 million copies. They lost their major label recording contracts because of Napster, because the record companies were soaking the artists they'd get them in the studio, then they'd work with the producer to, like, the producer bought equipment, rented it back to the band. They basically just robbed these people. Charge it back to the album sales, give them an advance so they think they got money, and then you charge back everything. So if a record couldn't sell 1 million copies, the financial model for the record companies wasn't going to work. And when Napster hit, they didn't think they'd ever sell a million copies, physical copies of anything ever again. So there was like a drastic overreaction. And what happens if you look back in history, a lot of times bands don't hit their stride, 4th, 5th, 6th album, and record companies would hang in there with them a little bit if they believed in their talent. And I will say this about this record. If I had to whittle my collection to 10 records, this record would be in there. This is in my top 10. I think it is an amazing pop rock alternative record. The songwriting is what's so strong on it. So, unfortunate for Better Than Ezra, when they went independent, they did an album called Closer, and the day the record went to be released, the record company went bankrupt. So there was no promotion for it. Nothing happened, and the record didn't sell. I think they sold like 75,000 copies of it at the time. On that record was a great song. If you look at the streaming data, their third most popular song is called A Lifetime. They believed in that song so much, they put it on the next album. It was reworked a little bit. Actually sounds even better on this record. But this is one of the more classic, unknown pop songs. It's amazing. But who was a fan of Better Than Ezra and this album in particular? Taylor Swift. She loved this record. And the Haiti earthquake benefit, she covered the song she contributed was Breathless, which is on this album. It's the last song on this record. And in concert, she, not on the Eras tour, but previously, she had done another song that I'm going to talk about. So, what makes this record so great? First of all, Better Than Ezra is one of those groups. They give a lot of thought to every sound that goes in a record and putting in these little things that you're going to notice the more you listen to it. Oh, that was an interesting drum fill they did there, or they'll just put something in that it tells you they're working very hard to make this something special, make it art. Now, yeah, they just do alternative pop rock, but this album is loaded with storytelling, and I love storytelling. That's why I'm a big fan of Heartland Rock. You know, it's stories from the heartland, and they do a lot of that here. They don't really have the Heartland Rock sound, but a lot of the themes are Heartland Rock. In particular, I want to call out Kevin Griffin's songwriting. The lyrics, if you're a lyrics fan, this album is loaded with some amazing stuff. A Lifetime itself, that song starts out, and it's about a death of a friend. Allie woke up 8 a.m. graduation day, got into a crash, and died along the way. But the song, that's a terrible way to start a song. Like, oh my gosh, it hits you. But the song is really about reflecting on that friendship. And it goes on to talk about, seeing visions of you dancing on the hood of my car, 3.5, something about 3.5 minutes. It was an REM song playing. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful mid-tempo song. And because it starts out real sparse, but it builds to something almost, epic by the end. Another song I want to call out, and this is the one that the other one Taylor did sometimes. It's called Our Last Night. And the song is really about like a summertime romance. I don't know. I can't really figure out or put the picture together, but it's some kind of like, people go, to the lake for the summer, or they go to some vacation spot that they spend the summer and they come back down. So there's definitely something like that. It's a young relationship, maybe late high school, early college.
So summer lovin' is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's about summer love, and but
so fast.
There's a lot of brilliant lyrics. This is one of my favorites. At the end of the song, it's I was waving as you drove away. The sunlight was falling. You were riding backwards in a dusty window pane. So beautiful. When people are gifted to that extent where you're just like, oh my God, I can see that. You see that scene, and so beautiful songs. There's another song called Hollow that is about these three kids growing up together and how their lives went different ways. Brilliant in that. So I can't plead with you enough. I tell you, I've given this record to a lot of people, not the record, the CD. I have never had anybody not come back and say they love it. 3 listens, just give it 3 listens. I think they're one of the most criminally underrated bands out there. So if you like Counting Crows, Dave Matthews, that kind of stuff, Better Than Ezra. And you can go see them cheap for like $40 or $50. Go to the county fair or something.
They might even have a Groupon ticket. You never know.
I think really piggybacking on that, right? I think that, if that album really is one that makes the essential list, you're going to have to love the lyrics to a song that I love called Friends of P by a phenomenal band called The Rentals on an album, The Rentals, Return of the Rentals.
Boot him, Sean.
Return of the Rentals.
So I don't know much about them. Were they like a '90s? Did they come out in the '90s?
Yeah, I mean, most people know them, and that's one of the things that's really terrible is they did the song "Good." It was like it was very popular. Their first record did sell 1 million copies, and "Good" was a hit. And it's like my 50th most favorite. It's annoying, it's repetitive, but it was catchy and it was a big hit for them. So they're definitely one of those bands that matured and got better. And
Lots of Moogs.
Tons of Moogs.
Yeah.
Moog City.
Including who is on that record, Gonzo? That everyone would know.
Maya Rudolph, not on the record, but she played live with them.
On one of the many Moogs.
Played live. I will say I'm extremely thankful at the fact that both you and Scott did listen to the record.
We did. I didn't hate it. It's just I think it's like 2 albums from now from that one would be the good album.
Scott, did you say you hated it or you tolerated it?
I didn't like it.
I didn't like Friends of
Of course you didn't.
It didn't do anything for me.
Floyd listened to it and Floyd loved it.
He doesn't like jazz though, so
well, that's okay. Because I think jazz is like I love guitar jazz, but I can understand where people, could listen to old jazz where it just, when I listen to that jazz and just horns and stuff going everywhere, it makes me feel like that's what the inside of my brain is like, right? Just all over the damn place and just, rah.
All right, so I'm gonna take my turn now. My last album for tonight is an album that, yes, it sold 13 million copies worldwide, opposed to the Rentals 7 records sold worldwide with the Rentals. And this one, you know the songs. If you ever watched The Dating Game, 4 of those songs from The Dating Game are on this album. This album, you've seen it everywhere. You've seen it for $1. You've seen it for $3. We have Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass.
It's my clock.
Whipped cream and other delights. You might say, no, I don't like elevator music, but this was, in the top, it was a number one in the Billboard charts for weeks. I'm telling you, weeks. It spent 185 total weeks in the top 100. 41 weeks in the top 40. When it made the charts, there was one album that took it off the charts. What album do you think took this one and replaced it as number one?
So that album came out in 1965, correct?
But it was 66 primarily when it was in the charts.
I'm going to probably say Revolver.
Correct.
Let's go.
Revolver took its place, and then a few months later, this popped back up in the one again. Also during that year, the top 5 songs, top 500 Billboard albums, 3 of the 5 were Herb Alpert records. There's only a few artists who've had 3 top 5s at the same time. Can you name any of them, Jake?
I spaced out. Say it again.
A band or artist that had 3 albums in the top 5 at the same time.
The Beatles would be one of them.
Yeah.
Elvis?
Michael Jackson.
Nope. Taylor Swift, Prince.
I would have not even gotten Taylor because I'm not a Tay-Tay fan. Prince, I would not have gotten.
And if Prince was probably when he died, I don't know. But yeah, it was the Dating Game. He didn't use his Tijuana Brass. He used the Wrecking Crew was the band on this record. And the Wrecking Crew is, if there's a documentary, they've been in hundreds of albums.
Floyd does have a point. The album cover might have had a little to do with its success, which it's one of the most iconic albums.
But also remember, the other 2 of his that were in the top 5 didn't have this cover. He was huge at that point. This is jazz. It was pop.
I actually liked Herb's later stuff that he did in the late 70s and early 80s, away from the Tijuana Brass, because a lot of people sampled that stuff, like Rise and those songs, right?
And one of the cool things that one of the things that, because A&M is obviously Herb Albert and I forget who M is, but the thing that stuck on me, because I just started watching a documentary on him, is when he was recording in a studio and he was the artist and he wanted to play around with the soundboard, and the person on the soundboard said, "Don't touch that," because it was union, and the union person behind the board was a union. He couldn't touch the mixer, the whole board. They couldn't touch it at all. And he's like, "That's crazy. The artist should have control and be able to do that." And thus they started a label.
That's
And
right.
that was kind of the precursor to that. Was because it's crazy. Imagine an artist can't slide a dial down or up. What? Because he's not union, he can't do
And
that.
that was, he had Charlie Chaplin's old studio, which was then Henson Studios,
It is,
and
yeah, it's Henson.
John Mayer and a partner now acquired it, so
Yeah, it's
they
pretty
now
cool.
have it.
Yeah, and to celebrate 60 years, this is a 60th. At age 90, he was touring last year, so he still tours. Yeah, at age 90, and still has it. It's incredible, and he's a sculptor and an artist.
Does he play an instrument himself?
He plays the
Trumpet.
trumpet. He plays a lot of our instruments, but trumpet is his biggest one. And on here, I mean, they layered the trumpet and he played it a little bit off, so it would have this layering effect to it. Again, people laugh. He has one of those. This is Sean's bargain basement banger record.
It is a record that people laugh at. And I just wonder how many people laugh at it and never listen to it. It actually is a very good record.
Yeah,
Great for the first song. You know the song immediately when you hear it. You're like, then the horn. It's like slow, and then the horns kick in. It's amazing, and
A Taste of Honey.
definitely overlooked and even laughed. We've all laughed at it,
Mm-hmm.
but it is attainable for $1 or $2. Give it a try.
I heard that's what Adam plays in his waiting room.
Yeah.
Probably. All right,
I did-
so that's our essentials. Now the big question now is, this is all on Adam now. The top 5 Grateful Dead records.
So
Beauty, Sean.
I did pick 5 albums, but I don't know if I would call it a top 5 for me. But what I try to do, because it's like picking between your kids. Maybe on the inside you have a favorite kid, but you're never going to say it out loud. And the Grateful Dead, to me, so the Grateful Dead are the most finicky, critical group of fans I've ever met. So for every Deadhead you meet, there's a huge range. So every single person will have a different favorite record, So it's not like Billy Joel, where most will agree like The Stranger is one of the best, where it's like every single one will have a different album they love the best. Every single Deadhead loves a certain year the best, because the reason I love the Dead so much, you could play me any song from any concert, and within 10 seconds, I can tell you within a week when that show is from, because they were constantly changing their sound, constantly evolving, constantly pushing the envelope. And some people love that. Some people hate it. Some people want to go see the Eagles and have them sound exactly like the Eagles did in the 70s. And I appreciate that. But the Deadheads who are going to see tens and hundreds of concerts appreciated the constantly evolving. So what I try to do, I picked 5 records that kind of gave a range of their abilities and styles, just because it was so different all the time. They kind of got pigeonholed into this psychedelic rock hour-long song thing, but they would do full sets where they played kind of country tunes that were 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
For like an hour or 2 hours straight, and then maybe do like a long jam or something. So they had a wide range. And so at number 1, because the Dead catalog is massive, it's huge, it's overwhelming. I've been listening to them daily for 35, 40 years, and I still hear things I haven't heard before. And when anybody ever says to me, I don't like the Dead, I say, okay. And I'll slip this record in without them knowing it's the Dead. And almost every single time they love it, because it doesn't really sound like the Dead. So my number 5 is Reckoning, which is all acoustic. It's a double LP. Came out in 1981. The Dead went through this big acoustic kind of Americana phase in the early 70s, and they did some acoustic sets, but then they kind of stepped away from that for a while and did mostly electric stuff. And then in 1980, they wanted to kind of go back and do some acoustic sets. So they did a month long of acoustic sets. They did 2 weeks at Radio City Music Hall in New York, which is the home of the Rockettes, which is such a cool place to see any show. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Radio City in Midtown Manhattan, but it's a very special venue. Then they did 2 weeks at the Warfield in San Francisco, and they recorded all the acoustic sets. And this is one of those albums, Scott, too, that just sonically sounds so good. It's all acoustic, a lot of Dead staples in here, a lot of country covers, not too much jamming. And this is like a perfect entryway into the Dead world. I don't know. This is a 1981 OG press.
That thing looks spotless.
Spotless. The Analog Productions, who I don't know if you guys are fans of Analog Productions. I love their stuff. I think it sounds so good. The Analog Productions release of this sounds really good too. I go back and forth which one I like better. I usually go with the OG.
I meant to do this before you got started. I should probably explain to people that Adam was granted a waiver because the top 5 is usually studio albums. He was granted a waiver given the Dead's reputation and where they, really, I won't say make their money, but they're known. So he will give and Chris Patterson, if you watch this later, you are not getting any more waivers. Don't ask for any. But Adam gets this because I thought this one was fair for the Dead. That was a fair request.
And the Dead were a live band. I mean, they never really captured their music in the studio. We will segue into one of the albums that really they kind of caught that magic in the studio, but it was hard for them to capture that magic in the studio because so many of their songs, Jake mentioned before, that they would play a bunch of times in concert. It always sounded different because they're always. Sometimes they'd go out and play a song they never played before. They made it noodled around in rehearsal once, and then they'll go play it on stage. And they would kind of work the song out, not in the studio, but they'd work it out on stage live in front of people.
The shows. Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of these albums, where they were playing it for like one of the first times in the studio, so they didn't really get to feel out what the song was actually going to be or become until they played it live for a while. But this album is really... it's along the lines of that album we were talking about before, the Garcia Grisman. It's that acoustic-y, mellow, but just is such a great sounding record. Number 5. Number 4, I'll probably take a lot of flack from this. By the way, if you're watching and you're a Deadhead, in the chat, throw up what your first concert was with Jerry, because that's kind of when you meet a Deadhead. You're like, oh, did you see Jerry? Yeah. What was your first show? Like that's how you kind of judge everybody in the Deadhead world. Like mine was 7/14/90, Foxborough, Sullivan Stadium, Sean. My first show, hot summer day on those metal benches that you probably remember. Number 4, their most commercially successful album. This is the upside down one. Speaking of MTV2, In the Dark.
Played that thing nonstop.
Played
that
it
video on nonstop.
Nonstop. I have notes here. Most commercially successful, went double platinum. And the reason why, I'm going to get a lot of flack from this from some Deadheads out there, but for me, the reason why this is probably my favorite studio album. The songs are great, but this to me sounds the most like live Grateful Dead. When you listen to this record, it's really has that Grateful Dead sound, where most of the other studio albums to me don't sound like the Grateful Dead. And the reason is this was recorded in 1987. Most of the songs on this record, this came out in 87. Most of the songs on this record, they had been touring with since 1982, 83. So they've been playing it live for a long time. So they knew what the song was. And they recorded this live, not in a studio, but they actually rented out an arena and recorded it live on stage together, just not in front of an audience. So it's almost like a live album even though it's technically a studio album. But they recorded it all. There was no tracks really. They did go back and do a couple overdubs on a couple of tunes, but it's pretty much a live studio album.
How big of a venue did they do that in?
It was the Marin County Theater. It was a few thousand seater. It wasn't like a huge venue, but it was like,
Well,
nice.
I never knew that. That sounds like straight up
I'm sure the
So
acoustics.
Grateful Dead.
studio stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so Grateful Dead thing to do. And they're like, to capture that. And it sounds like a studio album, but it's like, that really sounds like the Dead. Like when Jerry solos on this, it captures that Jerry live solo sound. And every song on here, Touch of Grey, of course, was their big hit on MTV. I am what's called a touch head in the community, which has a negative connotation, really, because the Dead were kind of this underground. Even though a lot of people, everyone knew the Dead, you could easily get tickets to any show the day of. They didn't really. They always sold a lot of tickets, but it was kind of the same people. They weren't hugely popular. Touch of Grey came out, MTV. Now everyone wanted to go see the Dead again. The shows became inundated with people, parking lots. Half the people that would go to the show didn't even have tickets, and it became this crazy, wild scene. And those people were called touch heads instead of deadheads because Touch of Grey. And they kind of brought this negative energy to all the old school Deadheads. So they kind of looked down upon us, even though we kind of kept the torch going. But that was huge. Great video, by the way. Right, you guys remember that video?
Jamming out, man.
Skeletons. And I don't know if you remember the video specifically, Sean especially. One of the skeletons is wearing a Celtics Bill Walton jersey.
I remember.
But and just about every song in here became one of their regular touring repertoire.
That's where I knew Adam was going to be okay, because I'm not a Deadhead, and I am pretty amateurish in my knowledge of them. But when I told him, I said, I thought, oh, he's going to laugh at me. I said, I like In the Dark. He goes, oh no, that's good. That's before I knew he was going to put it in the top 5. And I was like, okay. He's not going to look down on me because of my lack of knowledge. But
I love In the Dark.
Touch of Grey was my entry into Grateful Dead.
Touch of Grey. Sean, you'll appreciate this. I was at Canopy Lake Park on my 7th grade field trip. Yeah, on my 7th grade field trip. And before I had seen the video, and they used to play music over the loudspeakers at the amusement park, and Touch of Grey came on, and I just spontaneously started just hit. But the rest of the songs on this album are fantastic too. It's like Hell in a Bucket. The other great thing about the Dead, speaking of multiple lead singers, most people think, oh, Jerry Garcia was the front guy.
Bob sang too.
Jerry maybe sang 40% of the songs, if that, like Jerry was not like the lead guy. Like they would alternate in concert. So if Jerry sang the first song, Bobby would sing the second song. And then maybe one of the other guys would sing the third song. And then Jerry would sing the fourth song, and Bobby would sing the fifth song. So they really alternated in concert. So they had multiple lead singers every night. They'd have 3 or 4 people that would sing a lead song. This album has rock and roll on it. It's got some ballads. And the Dead were the kings of the mid-tempo shuffle. It had so many songs with that kind of that's why at the shows you just see everybody kind of doing that thing.
It's because they were stoned off their butts.
This is a cool variant of the album.
It is pretty cool.
This one's cool. You guys see the difference? I was showing this to the guys before the show, but there was this one has upside down. This one's right side up. This one, nope, I'm going the wrong way. This one has, where am I? I'm backwards. This one has upside, no, that's right side up.
There you go, right there.
Which way am I going?
Constant residuals.
That's a pretty big mistake to make when you're about to produce an album cover. Like, you think somebody would run one first and check it.
I know. So I love every Grateful Dead song. There's not one song I don't like. So I'm kind of the rare Deadhead, because Deadheads are very finicky. So you'll meet a lot of Deadheads that will poo-poo Touch in the Dark. I love it. Number 3, complete opposite feel from that. I mean, it sounds like a completely different band. Is Live Dead. which was their first. This came out in 1969. Let me bring up my notes. It was their first live record, And this, speaking of live, right? So the Dead were really innovators in the live sound. Most bands today in the PAs, and when you go to these stadiums, use the Grateful Dead speaker technology that was really started by one man, Augustus Owsley Stanley III. His nickname was Bear. Most people have heard of Timothy Leary, who was like the LSD king of the East Coast. Bear was the Timothy Leary of the West Coast. So every hit of acid anybody ever took on the West Coast was made by Bear. And he happened to be the Dead's recording and sound engineer from the get-go in the early days. And he always thought outside the box. And he was the one that took their PAs and their speakers and had to figure out, okay, I got to get these guys to sound better. What can I do? And he kind of would rewire everything and come up with new sound. And this is the first album ever to be recorded on 16-track audio live. Wow. And when you play that, this is an OG 1969 pressing of this record.
Again, that record looks gorgeous, Adam.
I got a Live Dead. This is a double LP that has 6 songs on it. So this is where the stereotype rings true. So they jam on this one. And in the early days, they didn't have a huge repertoire. And how did they start jamming? Because let me step back. The reason why they sound different than most other bands too is that the original members, Jerry, we talked about, was this folky, bluegrassy guy. He came from that world. Bobby Weir was a folky Americana cowboy guy. Phil Lesh, the bass player, dropped out of college. And at the time he was studying music. And at the time he was into classical. He was actually writing, his idea was, I'm going to write 3 symphonies that are completely different. And I want them to be played by 3 different orchestras all at the same time on stage. Like he was like, wow. Like that was his like.
I think they call that jazz.
So he was like
that's like the Flaming Lips Zyrica, long before Zyrica, when they had like 6 CDs and you had to put them in and play them at the same time.
Exactly, that was his idea, and he was a trumpet player, not a bass player. And he didn't even ever touch a bass until Jerry asked him to join the band, and then he started playing bass.
Wow.
So that's why his bass playing, Scott, you mentioned before that sometimes you'll listen to an album and just focus on one instrument. And I do that all the time. Sometimes with the Dead, especially live, they're out there, they play, their jams. I do exactly what Scott says, and I'll just focus on the bass. And when I was live, back when Jerry was around, I'd focus a lot on Jerry, of course, but just as much I'd focus on Phil, because he was like this classical trumpet player who taught himself how to play bass, and he played bass like that. He played bass different than any other bass player that ever lived, and it came from that background. Pigpen, who was an original member of the band, was a blues guy. His dad was a blues DJ in San Francisco. And he was actually their front man in the early days up until he died in 1973. And he was really their front man. And he would sing all these blues standards and blues songs. And his dad was a blues DJ. Then you had Billy Kreutzmann on drums, who was an R&B drummer. So you had R&B, bluegrass, country, all these guys coming together. And that's why their sound was so different. So on this, the whole first side of the first album is Dark Star, which was like their first huge long jam song. And the reason why they would start jamming is because one of their first regular gigs they got was at a strip club. And they only had a couple songs, and the promoter told them they had to keep playing. And so they would just kind of, jam and make up stuff as they went along. And that's where the improvisation started. But this album for 1969 sounds like it could have been recorded yesterday. I mean, just with the quality of the recording for something that's 57 years old. Yeah. And on here, the highlight for me on this is Love Light, which was an old blues standard. But Pigpen, would go on these raps. Like everyone thinks who does everyone think invented rap? Like Blondie, right? Don't people credit Blondie for inventing rap kind of in that what's her song that she does?
Rapture.
Yeah, like don't people kind of credit her for doing like the first kind of rap hip hop thing? Pigpen was doing
Grandmaster
it.
Flash, I think they thought was
Yeah.
the
But
first.
Pig-
I think I don't know.
Pigpen long before them was rap.
Yeah, it was before.
And he would do these improv raps and just do yourself a favor, just listen to Love Light from this, and you can't help but for 15 minutes just bounce. I know Scott's another live album. Sorry, Scott. The Opposite Spectrum. This is probably if you held a gun to my head and said pick your favorite album, I might have to go this one, Without a Net. This is an OG. They recently released it. Did a repress of this. This is a live compilation from 89 and 90. The Dead had a lot of peaks and valleys, mostly tied to Jerry's drug use. But in the later years, like when this came out, Jerry was healthy. He was never off of drugs, but he was as off of drugs as he possibly could be. And this was like their last real peak was 89, 90. They played well after that, but it was never quite the same. The playing on this is, and this compilation was set up like a typical 80s, 90s show. So they kind of got in this routine where the first set would be these shorter songs. When I say shorter, 5, 6, 7 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. And, a lot of shorter songs. And then their second set, they'd really kind of open it up a little bit and jam and explore. So this compilation was kind of set up like an actual show. Recorded live. This is mostly recorded on 24-track tape. And the highlight of this one is Eyes of the World, which this night they had Branford Marsalis, the jazz musician. Never met the Dead before, never heard of the Dead. He shared a manager with one of the guys, and he happened to be in town. And he just came on in the middle of the show, sat in on Eyes of the World at Nassau Coliseum, March 29th, 1990, and did one of the most beautiful renditions of this song you ever heard. It's one of those songs that it's my hold music at my office. If you call my office and we put you on hold, it's 329.90 Branford Marsalis jam with Jerry. It's one of those songs too. No matter who I play that song for, likes it. It's jazz, it's rock, it's everything in one song. This has some good covers on it too. The other thing about the Dead is their originals were fantastic, but they covered so many different artists. In one night, you could hear a cover by Hoagie Carmichael, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Marty Robbins, all in one night, Lightning Hopkins. Like they would pick all these just random artists from all different genres and do covers of their songs, but do it their own way. And so I always would want to go back and listen to the original to see where they got their inspiration from. And the amount of music they introduced me to outside of the Dead is just amazing. How many different influences they had. And number one,
Drum roll.
not going to be a huge shock, but because it's so freaking good. Another first press here, American Beauty, which if you look at it right, American Beauty is the name of that rose, is the American Beauty rose. But what else does it look like? American Reality also says American Reality. This was at this album. The reason why this album and Working Man's were so huge is because San Francisco was huge. The hippies back in the 60s. We all kind of know the history of Jefferson Airplane, the Dead, the hippies, Summer of Love, all that stuff, psychedelics. And then the Dead went from this jamming psychedelic band to this rootsy Americana, like out of nowhere. Like what happened? And it was just such a different sound. At this time, they were recording at Wally Heider's studio. in 1970. Another famous band was recording at Wally Heider's studio in 1970 at the same exact time. That was Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And the reason why the vocals on this sound so different and amazing is because they learned how to sing pretty much and harmonize from CSN. And then there was a lot of crossover. So the beginning of Teach Your Children on Deja Vu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pedal Steel. You guys know who that is? It's Jerry. So Jerry plays pedal steel on Deja Vu. Jerry played pedal steel is one of the hardest instruments to ever play. The band New Riders of the Purple Sage, Jerry was in that band and played pedal steel for them for years until he was touring too much. He couldn't anymore. But if you listen to the vocal harmonies on this, it's so Crosby, Stills, and Nash with the high, the middle, and the low. And if you've never heard the song Addicts of My Life, like tonight after the show, go listen to Addicts. It's pretty much an a cappella song with some acoustic guitar and a bass. Played on a good, nice stereo speaker where you could hear the voices coming from all over. And you're going to swear it's like a Crosby, Stills, and Nash record. It just sounds beautiful. And I think the biggest secret weapon the Dead had, because I love the older you get, and I don't know if you guys are the same, what hooks you to music is the beat, the songs, the rhythm, the melody hooks you in. The older I get, the more I actually listen to the words. And for me, the Dead were by far the most underrated songwriters of all time. And the biggest secret weapon was Robert Hunter. So the Dead didn't really write any of their lyrics. So they kind of had it like a Bernie Taupin. So every single song you'll see says Hunter Garcia. So Jerry had his own lyric writer, who was Robert Hunter, who was just a master poet. And Bobby Weir had his own writer, Barlow, who would write all his songs.
Which didn't they know each other in school?
Yes. Yep. Barlow and Bobby.
And Bob Weir.
Yeah, they met. They got kicked out of many schools together. Bobby was severe dyslexic. And back then, nobody knew dyslexia. So he was bouncing in and out of schools. And he was the youngest of the band. He was in the Grateful Dead full-time member at 16.
Yep.
The other guys were older. So Jerry was like 20. Phil was 21. And then the story goes that Phil and Jerry went to Bobby's house to tell them, 16-year-old boy, we're taking your son. He's dropping out of school and he's going to be a full-time rock guy on the road. Like, my son's 16 now. Like, if I had these two weird hippies come in and say, we're taking your son, like, what are you, get the hell out of my house. What are you, nuts?
Well, it's like Almost Famous with
Totally. But because he was getting kicked out of all these boarding schools anyway, they're like, fine, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I mean, wasn't Phil Lesh during that whole, was it American Beauty? I don't know if it was American Beauty or, but apparently he was like a tyrant in the studio. Like the producers, like he clashed with them.
He clashed with everybody because he wanted it. As the 50th anniversary of all these records has come out, and Rhino has done the reissues of a lot of these records, they've released something called the Angel Share, which is a lot of studio outtakes. And in the studio outtakes, there's a lot of studio banter. And a lot of studio banter is Phil yelling at everybody, about the chord changes and get the tempo right and all that stuff. Yeah. But they drove many producers away too, because, they just show up at the studio completely high and, waste the studio's money. And it was hard to capture them in the studio back at that time.
I got a question. I got an audio file question for you, Adam. I'm sure that's not the only press of that. What other presses do you have? Do you have the Mo-Fi? Do you have the Rhino Hi-Fi?
Yep. Yes and yes.
What's your take on those?
I like different parts of each one.
Oh.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick the Mo-Fi. But it's hard because the vocals on the Mo-Fi are just so good, but you lose a little bit of the percussion. There's no perfect one for me. Sometimes I wish I could go in the studio, and just like tweak those little levers and do my own little
cut by Adam.
Yeah.
And the Dead too. You could be at a concert, and I could think it's the best concert I've ever seen in my life, and the guy next to me could be like, "That was the worst concert I've ever seen in my life," and it's just I don't know. I go all over the place with these guys. I could talk for days and hours about them.
So Working Man's Dead, not in the top fiver.
The songs are fantastic on it, right? And so if I could have a live version of Working Man's, I would pick it. But the actual Working Man's, to me, it's very good, but I never really listened to that record. Hardly ever, ever, ever.
You're Adam, I'll tell you, you're probably the first true Deadhead like that I've befriended, right? Where, listen to you when you've had your shows, kind of talk a little bit about it. But I would imagine that like the Deadheads really go more for the live stuff than they do the albums, because
It's
the
just
live
a completely different
so
sound,
good.
a different feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I think the Dead are going to kind of be like 200 years from now. I think people will still be listening to the Dead, because I guarantee you within an hour, Sean, you live in the middle of Delaware, Scott's in West Virginia. I guarantee you within an hour drive of your house, within 1 week from today, you could find a Grateful Dead cover band playing. Hands down, period.
Yeah.
You can't find that. Like within an hour drive of me, this week alone, I could probably find 100 different Grateful Dead cover bands playing. I mean, it's just, they're everywhere. And you go and they're all going to be full of people. And there's just younger people playing the music and younger people going to these cover bands. And there's no other band like that, that has this kind of devout following where they're still so vibrant today.
Well, what's your take on Fish?
So before I get some hate in the chat, I appreciate Fish. I think they're all talented musicians.
But you feel they're a cover band?
I've seen them play probably 30, 40 times myself. So I do enjoy going to their concerts. But what they do very well. But to me, they sound the same now as they did 20 years ago, as they did 30 years ago, which a lot of people probably like. I don't like that. I want to hear like the evolution and have you sound different now than you did then. And their songwriting, their lyrics are, don't even they're not even in the same category as Dead lyrics.
Well,
they didn't write country songs. They didn't write folk songs. They didn't write blues songs. They kind of did this jam thing, which they do unbelievably well. But no one's ever really sat and listened to a Fish lyric and said that was like, really meaningful and deep. And
they are entertaining. I mean, I've been watching them play guitars while jumping on trampolines is a pretty unique thing.
Love them. I love those guys. I just don't think they're like, I put Hunter Garcia with like Lennon McCartney, I'm not going to say that about Fit, they're great at what they do. And the only similarity really is the following.
Yeah.
After that, the music couldn't be more different.
All right, Adam. So Tucker has a question. Maybe you know the answer to this. Wants to know how many Dead albums you have in your collection.
I don't know the number. I could probably tell you an accurate number. Do box sets count as one?
Yeah, that's one.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 6.
Probably around 250.
250. Wow. There's a lot of Dead to buy, though.
And not many repeats,
Well, I don't know. We know you have 3 copies of American Beauty, at least.
I do, yeah.
One of the biggest questions I have would be, if the Grateful Dead came first, would the Beatles, because the sound at a arena, they greatly improved concert sound, the Grateful Dead. If the Beatles had that, if that was set before the Beatles started touring live, how much different would the Beatles be? Would they have enjoyed touring more, knowing that people could actually hear what they're saying? Because that really wasn't the thing.
You could totally speculate. Like if you hear like Wings or Paul McCartney live and all their later stuff, they would have been a monster touring band if they had the right technology. And they came out not much after. I mean, the Dead formed in 1965.
The Warlocks.
And that was, yep, I was just going to say that before that, there were the Warlocks in 64. So, I mean, that's really same time frame. So it wasn't much after. So if the Beatles had Bear, Owsley Stanley, as their sound guy, would have been a completely different trajectory.
Yeah,
Who knows if they would have had all that studio success if they were playing live more, Who knows?
Well, I mean, they were, first and foremost before they got in the studio, they were known for their live chops.
It almost seems like the record companies didn't care at that point. It's not much money. Let's send them on tour. We don't put much money into it. Hey, and just do it. And it seemed like
Well,
they didn't
think
care.
about it. I mean,
It was just
band,
it was cash grab for the record label.
the band makes the money on touring.
Yeah.
But
They
the
used
record
to.
companies make the money on the albums. So why not? Yeah, hey, go make your money. Go tour the hell out of it, because all these kids are going to buy up all these records. We're going to make,
promotion.
yeah.
So we do got to thank the Grateful Dead for drastically improving our concert experience.
And
That's
one thing,
sure.
Can you guys do like a share your screen thing? Like if you do something on your computer. Have you ever heard of the Wall of Sound?
You're talking about Phil Spector Wall of Sound, yes.
No, the Dead's Wall of
The
Sound.
Dead's Wall.
Yeah, with all the speakers and
If you can, I don't know if you have it. If you can do it, bring up an image of see if you can get it. There's a million pictures of it. If you Google Grateful Dead Wall of Sound, get a picture of the Grateful Dead standing in front of it. My honorable mention is the Grateful Dead movie soundtrack, the Grateful Dead movie. All those records I didn't even mention. So if you ask every Deadhead what's their favorite era, every single one will say, I like 89, I like 87, I like 77, I like 92, I like 69. My favorite Grateful Dead is 73, 74. Because it's like when they were the most jazzy, and they were always they were a true two drummer band. And in 73, 74, one of their drummers, Mickey Hart, dropped out because his dad was the band's manager and he embezzled a ton of money from the band. And Mickey felt bad about it, so he dropped out of the band, and they became this jazzy thing. And they have the Wall of Sound, which Bear developed, which was this massive. There it is.
Jesus.
That's part of it, but that's them putting it up. That's like half of it. So it was all the speakers were behind them, and it was literally 8 stories tall. I forgot how many numbers of speakers were in it. But every single person that's ever been to one of their shows, including all the shows up today, said that was the best sounding concert I've ever been to in my life. But it would take 15 hours to put up, 15 hours to take down, put it into 4 or 5 semi trucks, drive to the next venue and do it. So they lost so much money doing it. But the Grateful Dead movie was filmed in 1974 during the Wall of Sound era.
This was in 1974 right here.
Yep. I can tell because Phil has a beard and Jerry does not have a beard. So if you look Jerry for a very short period of time, Jerry's in the red there. And Jerry looks so weird without a beard. It's almost disturbing in a way. But the Wall of Sound, by everyone's accounts, was the best sounding thing ever in music. It was just became logistically impossible. And it drained the Dead so much financially that they actually retired in 1974. And got back together in 76. In the Grateful Dead movie, they filmed their retirement concerts, which were at the Winterland, which was owned by Bill Graham. We didn't even talk about Bill Graham. We have so much to do. I have to do it a different day. So this movie, if anybody wants to get an idea of what a Grateful Dead show is like, this is as close as you could possibly get to getting the sense of what a Dead show is like. Because they filmed a lot of the Deadheads. They filmed it's like half show, half concert footage, half Deadheads kind of footage, half band footage talking. But this gives you the best sense of what a Dead show is like. And the music is just, for me, my favorite era of Dead is 74. Must watch.
So on the list, one of the things, and I hope we promote this. I know I'm working on Jake. Is when I think of the Dead, and I'm such a music fan, have been since I've been 7 years old, and when there's a substantial artists out there,
so Beethoven, Bach,
Sean, and I am not a fan of theirs. It makes me wonder, like, what do I not get? It makes me not run away from it, go towards it. Same reason that, probably 7 years ago I got into jazz. I was like, all these people like jazz. There's something I'm missing something, rather than say I don't like it. And so I had very little dead stuff, and I would like to understand it and appreciate it the way a lot of people do. Not that I want to go become a deadhead. So I do want to.
Well, why not?
I got too many things to do. I can't do all that.
It does take up a lot of time.
Hey, I work for a living. I'm not a dentist. Actually, I'm retired. So.
I was gonna say you don't work.
But so I appreciate that. I want to have people on like that, and I want to encourage people to don't. You can dismiss music after you listen to it, but if you haven't listened to it, I'm sorry. I don't care what your opinion is. I know one thing: you're uninformed. So So I did not hate the Reynolds until I listened to it. I hated it.
I didn't like the Friends of P. Other than that, it was all right. I didn't mind it.
I didn't like the one note song. I'm like,
but that's why
this album is an essential, whether you like it or not.
That's why I like when I'm talking.
Floyd listened to it and came back and was like, dude, that album is amazing. Floyd is my witness.
I didn't know Tucker was such a suck up. Did you give him a discount on some records or something?
No, Tucker's the man. He never heard it, listened to it, and was like, this album is excellent. Excellent for its time. It's completely different.
So
I'm showing this to Mrs. Bum. She said I need to buy this clock in the chat there. But any record I recommended, because their catalog is very overwhelming, if you throw any one of those on, with the exception of Live Dead, because that's a particular taste, any of the other four is, they're very accessible music.
Well, and I just want to say that don't sleep on that Garcia Grissom. People need to give that a listen. That is an amazing sounding record. So anybody that says somebody was talking about Eva Cassidy. I don't know when we were talking about Eva Cassidy. That's an amazing record. Oh, you did that? Yeah. So, yeah. If you like the sound of that, like it too has this big soundstage to it and presence. Like you feel like you're in that club. Listen to that Garcia Grissom. It's worth your time.
All right, so guys, this is where we're kind of getting close to the wrapping up. If you have any questions or questions, we can try to answer them. And I have two things to add about my American Pie album that I forgot to talk about. If you look at the credits for American Pie, there's a mention of the West 44th Street Rhythm and Noise Choir. And according to Ed Freeman, that included Pete Seeger, James Taylor, Livingston Taylor, and Carly Simon. So their background vocals in American Pie, allegedly. Also, when you listen to American Pie, listen to the piano. That was kind of a late afterthought. The amazing pianist named Paul Griffin improvised a lot of that, and just listen to the piano in the background, and it really ties the whole thing together. Just like the rug and you know what I'm saying.
I want to mention something earlier too, right? Sean mentioned earlier that apparently David Lee Roth is going back on tour. So just a reminder, please listen to the bluegrass version of Jump that he sang, I think around 2007, 2009-ish. YouTube it. I want feedback.
One last thought. I'm responding to Mr. Lyle Hoffman, who wrote in the chat that his first show was with John Mayer and the Dead. And like, does that count? If you had the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger died 30 years ago, do you think they'd still be like one of the top drawing acts in the country, or like all these other bands? I mean, we don't know. You can't speculate. But Jerry died 30 years ago. who's supposedly their front guy, and they're still touring strong now and doing these residencies at the Sphere. And John Mayer, for those who don't know, John Mayer has been in the Dead for 10 years already. 10 years he's been playing with the Dead.
How long did Hornsby play with them for?
Like a year and a half, 2 years.
That was it.
Yeah. Their keyboardist died. And then right before a tour was starting, and they, instead of canceling the tour, which they probably should have, they called up Bruce, kind of say, hey, can you fill in for a little bit? And
well, see, that would be my question. Like, how does Bruce Hornsby play in the Dead? Because as soon as Hornsby hits the keyboard, I know it's Hornsby.
Absolutely.
Like, I know no piano player that has as distinctive style as Bruce Hornsby.
And that's why the Dead's music could absorb all different types of styles like that. And the Dead even did, because Bruce joined the Dead, they did a cover of Long Valley Road.
Yeah.
And if you listen to like a 1991 Grateful Dead, Bruce, it's Bruce, but they do their own kind of spin on it. They did a couple of Bruce tunes that tour.
That's a great Hornsby song, Valley Road.
I was just thinking too, when I pictured Grateful Dead, especially when I wasn't listening to him at all I saw was Jerry Garcia for some reason. Is that just because the way the media and on magazine covers and stuff?
100%.
All we thought it was him because of that. He was the band. That's all. And that definitely is not a fair assessment.
Well, Ryan, he not only, I think he was in a Dead cover band, but he also inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Bruce Hornsby did.
Yep. Jerry did not show up for that.
All right. Well, we're going to have to have Adam back on because I'm sure we need more Dead knowledge.
We'll just give him 2 hours by himself and let him talk.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just needs to start his own Dead podcast.
Next time is gonna be the top 40 versions of Sugar Magnolia.
Okay, we probably won't promote that way. We'll do a little marketing. I do want to thank Adam. Adam's always been a joy. I mean, we get to know these people actually through chat and whatnot, and he was always so pleasant, had good humor, and then so glad to have him on. Got to know him. He's selling now, so if you see a show, give him a shot. I know for a fact, based on what he buys from me, he's got some good stuff for sure.
I'm right on your heels, Sean. I got almost triple digits in sales.
Oh wow!
Nice.
There you go. But I give a little promo. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and fire them off. But January is just going to be a great month. Not only did we kick it off and return from the holidays with Adam, we have Joe Williamson back next week for, I'm going to guess there's going to be some blues albums next week. And we're going to work extra hard because Joe definitely out-prepared all of us for the podcast. So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And then on January 22nd, Johnny from Channel 910 is back.
Let's go.
Adam had the honor to be the first guest panelist to ever do a top 5. Johnny's going to be the second, and it's going to be Beatles. So if you guys want to see the fireworks fly, I think that's going to be a very contested show. I should say,
I think there's going to be a lot of holding hands and hugging.
Yeah.
You sure about that? Because I know what number 1 and number 2 most likely are going to be, and it's not going to be pretty.
Oh yeah, I don't agree with your number 1 either. That's right.
Well, I forgot to mention on 115 when we have Joe Williamson with us, at the request of one of our viewers, I think it's been here every episode, I'm going to do the top 5 Seeger. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to tick a bunch of people off. But hey, what you like is what you like, right? I will say this. I've already started to listen to the Seeger albums, this particularly the early ones that I might not know as well. 129. We got another first-timer. Tom Newman. Toothpaste King is coming on. So,
gosh, that guy.
I mean,
this freaking guy.
His favorite toothpaste, by the way, is Aquafresh. So I don't know. He actually told me that. So,
well, after 17 people turned us down, we were looking around and said, "Tom will do it."
Hey, Tom, let's flip a coin.
Our 27th pick is Tom.
Nah, we've been wanting to have him on, and I'm still working on February. I got one confirmation. Vinyl Canyon is going to be on, and I'm trying to get a return date for Rush Records once he maybe gets out of his bowling league. So anyway, we'll announce stuff as we get them booked. We hope to get some more people in here. It's always such fun to have a little different atmosphere interactively with the community here.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Another great show. We did run late. I think we could have went for another hour and a half easily.
That's typical Grateful Dead fashion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a medley of
We did not fit on a 45 tonight.
no, we did not.
Hey, before we end for the night, I want to ask the chat, everybody, a question. How did the show sound tonight? No echo. I didn't hear any.
I think we made it through our first episode
Echo
without
free.
echo. Praise the Lord. It's been driving me crazy.
That's why I'm worried it may have been me because I did make a drastic change.
Scott's been losing hair
Yeah.
because of the echo.
Yeah, I couldn't take this much longer. Now I want to appreciate all my fellow colleagues here. We've been working on that, trying to figure out what it is. It drives us as crazy as it drives you. It's hard to talk when you have the echo. So looks like we except echo the waves. Yeah. Looks like we got it solved. Let's keep fingers crossed. Nobody changes a setting on their mixer and we keep the echo going.
Deal.
All right. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and we're gonna see you next Thursday.
Appreciate it, guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Appreciate
Adam.
you.
Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
job.